There is a woman inside you that the world has been afraid of for 4,000 years. She has a name. The name was buried. The name was rewritten. The name was given to demons, so you would never speak it as your own. But she never left. Her name is Lilith. And the part of you that has never agreed to be small, the part of you that goes silent in rooms where everyone is performing, the part of you that has felt your whole life that something inside you was too much for the people who claim to love you, that is not a flaw. That is her, still alive, still waiting. Tonight, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer it before this hour is over. Why was she banished? And why, in you, in this body, in this exact lifetime, is she finally returning? If you have ever felt rage rise in your chest, in a moment when you were supposed to be grateful, if you have ever sat at a dinner table or in a meeting and felt your soul leave your body for a few seconds, because what you really wanted to say would have ended everything. If you have ever caught yourself shrinking inside relationships you could not name as wrong, but could feel were not yours, this video is for you, and it is not what you think it is. Most people who hear the name Lilith will tell you she is a demon. They will tell you she is a myth. They will tell you Black Moon Lilith in your chart is your dark feminine, and they will leave it at that, like a label on a jar. They are wrong. What I am about to tell you is not in any astrology app. It is not on any podcast. It is not in any popular book about the divine feminine. The teachers who know it do not say it out loud. Because the moment you understand what Lilith actually is, you stop being controllable by anyone, including by yourself. In the next 60 minutes, I am going to show you 3 things. First, the real story of who Lilith was before patriarchy needed her to be a monster. Second, what Black Moon Lilith in your birth chart is actually measuring, why almost every astrologer gets it wrong by looking at it as a wound, instead of as a coordinate. And third, the practice, the exact way you call her back, not metaphorically, practically, tonight. But before any of that, there is something you need to feel first. Because the reason Lilith feels like a myth to most people is not that she is far away. The reason she feels like a myth is that she has been so close your whole life that you mistook her for the noise inside your own head. So let me ask you this. What if the part of yourself you have been told to fix, the part that gets called too intense, too sensitive, too angry, too much? What if she is not the wound? What if she is the one trying to wake you up? Before I show you the chart, before I show you the math, the houses, the aspects, I have to tell you a story, not a metaphor, a story, the one they tried to erase. There is a text. It is called the Alphabet of Ben Sira. It is medieval, it is Hebrew, and most theologians treat it as folklore, but inside is something the official Bible removed. In that text, before Eve, there was another woman, made from the same earth as the man, not from his rib, not from his side, not under him, equal. Her name was Lilith, and the story goes like this. When the time came for them to lie together, the man told her to lie beneath him, and she said, "No, not as rebellion, not as anger, as fact. She said, "I was made from the same earth. Why would I lie beneath you?" And when he insisted, she spoke the secret name of God, and she left. She walked out of paradise on her own feet. Now, listen to what they did with that story. Because she walked away, because she chose the desert over a hierarchy, they made her a demon. They said she became the mother of evil spirits. They said she killed children in the night. They told mothers to whisper protection prayers against her over their sleeping daughters. Why? Because a woman who refuses to bow is more dangerous to a system of control than any actual demon could ever be. A demon you can exorcise. A woman who knows her own equal weight. You cannot. So here is the metaphor I want you to hold for the next 53 minutes. Lilith is not a wound. Lilith is not a curse in your chart. Lilith is not the dark feminine the way your astrology app told you. Lilith is the woman who refused to bow. And she lives in the part of you that has never agreed to be small. And every time the world has told you that something true about you is too much. Every time someone you loved punished you for being whole. Every time you swallowed a sentence that would have ended a relationship that needed to end. You were not failing. You were burying her, layer by layer, year by year, until she became the static in your chest you could not explain. Now here is the first layer of what most people get right. Yes, Black Moon Lilith in your birth chart represents your raw feminine power. Yes, she points to the sign and house where you are most untamed. Yes, she shows where you have been silenced by family, culture, religion, partnership. This is the surface truth. But here is the second layer, the one fewer teachers say. Black Moon Lilith is not a planet. She is not even a body. She is a coordinate. Mathematically, she is the empty focus of the moon's elliptical orbit around Earth. Think about that. She is a place in space where there is nothing. And yet, the entire orbit of the moon is shaped by her. Read that again, slowly. She is the absence that shapes the moon's path. The void that determines the rhythm. The nothing that the something orbits around. In your chart, in your life, she is the part of you that is invisible. And yet, every choice you make, every relationship you allow, every door you walk through, is being shaped by her gravity. And now the third layer, the one almost no one says. If you have spent decades trying to heal your Lilith, trying to soften her, trying to integrate her like a piece of broken glass you wanted to make safe, you have been doing the wrong work. Lilith does not want to be healed. She wants to be obeyed. Not in the way the patriarchy uses that word. Obeyed in the original sense, listened to, followed, trusted. The instinct in you that has been trying for years to tell you this person, this job, this version of yourself was never yours to keep. That is her voice. And the moment you stop trying to therapy her into politeness and start letting her run the part of your life she was always meant to run, something ancient comes back online inside you, which closes the first piece I promised you. The real story is not that Lilith is your darkness. The real story is that Lilith is your gravity, the shape of who you actually are, beneath everyone who tried to teach you something else. But here is where this gets uncomfortable, because if she is your gravity, then everything in your life that does not orbit her is not yours. And in the next 8 minutes, I am going to ask you to look at parts of your life you have been protecting for a very long time. And I am going to ask you to look at them through her eyes. Now, listen to what they did with that story. Because she walked away, they made her a demon. They told mothers to whisper protection prayers against her over their sleeping daughters. Why? Because a woman who refuses to bow is more dangerous to a system of control than any actual demon could ever be. A woman who knows her own equal weight. You cannot. Lilith is the woman who refused to bow, and she lives in the part of you that has never agreed to be small. Until she became the static in your chest you could not explain. So let me show you what she sees. There is a relationship in your life right now that Lilith has been trying to tell you about for years. You know which one. You have not named it yet, even to yourself, because naming it would mean having to act. But she has been speaking. In the form of fatigue you cannot explain after seeing this person. In the form of dread on Sunday nights. In the form of the sentence that almost left your mouth last week and didn't. If your Black Moon Lilith sits in your 7th house, the house of partnership, she has been trying for decades to tell you that the way you love is not the way you were taught to love. If she sits in your 4th, the house of home, mother, lineage, she has been trying to tell you that the family you came from has been asking you to be smaller than the soul that chose to incarnate there. If she is in your 10th, your career, your visibility, she has been screaming, quietly, that the version of success you are chasing was never going to be the version that lets you sleep at night. But wait, there is something most teachers miss about this. They will tell you Lilith is showing you where you were wounded. No, she is showing you where you were, right. Where as a child you sensed something was off, the dynamic, the silence, the unspoken rule, and the adults around you taught you to doubt yourself instead. Lilith is the part of you that was right, the whole time. And every year you spent trying to fix yourself was a year you were actually trying to silence the only witness who knew the truth. Now, look at your body. Not in the mirror, inside. There is a place in your body where you store her. Most women carry it in the throat. It feels like something always almost said, never quite said. Some carry it in the womb, a heaviness with no medical cause, a sense of something being kept in there that wants out. Some carry it in the jaw, clenched in sleep, sore in the morning, holding back a sentence from a conversation that happened in 2007. That is not anxiety. That is not stress. That is not something to medicate first and inquire into never. That is her, pressed into the tissues of your body, waiting. And every spiritual practice you have ever tried that promised peace by smoothing her over only made the pressure worse, didn't it? Because she does not want to be smoothed. She wants to be heard. Imagine a woman, 34 years old, 3 years sober, 2 years out of a marriage that everyone thought was beautiful from the outside. She has done the work, therapy, plant medicine, breath work, meditation. She is, by every measure of the spiritual marketplace, healed. And yet, every time she walks into her own apartment, alone, on a Tuesday evening, there is a feeling she cannot name. Not sadness, not loneliness, something older, something that whispers, You are still not living the life you were sent here to live. She thinks the feeling is a malfunction. She has been taught that healed people feel content. But that voice is not a malfunction. That is Lilith. And Lilith does not want her to be healed. Lilith wants her to be honest about the work she is not doing, about the man she is not calling, about the city she is not moving to, about the book she has been writing in her head for 9 years and has not put on a page because what if it makes someone uncomfortable? That woman is not a stranger to you. You know her. You are her. Or you have been her. Or you are about to become her, depending on how the next 10 minutes of this video land in you. But wait, there is a second thing most teachers miss about this. The reason Lilith felt like a myth is that she has been so close your whole life that you mistook her for the noise inside your own head. The voice in your head that says, "No, this is not for me." The voice that interrupts when you are about to agree to something. The voice that goes silent in rooms where you are performing and roars in rooms where you are alone. That is not a thought. That is a transmission from the part of you that exists outside the timeline of your conditioning. The part of you that was already here, fully formed, before your name was given to you, before your gender role was assigned, before your culture wrote its rules into your nervous system. Your rage is not your enemy. Your rage is the part of you that still remembers what you came here to be. Now I have given you the surface. I have given you the layers. I have given you the body. But everything I just told you is only half the truth. Because there is a reason she was banished that no astrology teacher will say out loud. And it is not the reason you think. Now, there is a cost to remembering this. When you start to obey her, you will lose people. Some on purpose, some who you thought would be there forever. Because the people who loved the version of you that was small were not loving you. They were loving the agreement. It means she has been waiting for you to find her, and she just did. Why was she banished? And por qué ela está voltando agora? In the next 12 minutes, the answer is going to break you open. But everything I just told you is only half the truth. Because here is the thing about banishment. We have been told for generations that Lilith was cast out because she was wrong, because she was disobedient. But if you read the actual texts, the ones written before the cleanup, before the censorship, you find something else. She was not cast out for being evil. She was cast out for being unknown. Read that again. She was cast out for being unowned, not by another god, not by a husband, not by a system. And every culture that came after, every religion, every law has been organized around one principle. A woman who is not owned by something is dangerous. Now think about that as a frequency. Think about every time in your own life that you noticed yourself becoming independent, financially, spiritually, emotionally. What happened next? Something or someone arrived to soften that, to reattach you, to remind you of obligation, of guilt. It is the immune system of a structure that needs you owned. So they did to her what they have done to every woman who could not be domesticated. They did not kill her, they renamed her. She became a demon, the mother of monsters. And the genius of that move is that the moment you make a woman into a demon in the cultural mind, every actual woman has to spend her life proving she is not Lilith. That is the work that has been happening in your bloodline for 40 generations. Your mother proving she was not Lilith. You proving you are not Lilith. Smiling when you do not feel like smiling. Saying yes when your body said no. Apologizing for taking up the space you were biologically given. Healing your inner Lilith is not just personal work. It is ancestral surgery. You are doing it on behalf of 100 women who could not. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Write this down if you have to. Your rage is not your enemy. Your rage is the part of you that still remembers what you came here to be. Now, there is a cost to remembering this. When you start to obey her, you will lose people. Because the people who loved the version of you that was small were not loving you. They were loving the agreement. And when the agreement ends, you will discover, painfully, who was actually in love with you, and who was simply in love with the version of you that did not require them to grow. But you are still here, at minute 30, which means something. It means she has been waiting for you to find her, and she just did. So here is the question. Why was she banished, and why is she returning now? In the next dozen minutes, the answer is going to break you open. In the year 1945, a farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Saman was digging for fertilizer near a cliff in Upper Egypt, in a place called Nag Hammadi. His shovel hit something solid, a sealed clay jar, taller than a child. He almost did not open it, because in that region, sealed jars were sometimes thought to contain a jinn, a spirit that would be released the moment the seal broke. But he was poor. He needed whatever was inside. So he opened it. What spilled out was not a jinn. It was 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts, buried by monks who knew that what they contained was about to be declared heresy by an emperor named Constantine, who needed Christianity to look a very specific way to hold his empire together. So they buried the books that did not fit. For 1600 years, those books waited under the desert. And what was inside them, what is now called the Nag Hammadi Library, tells a story of the divine that the official version had to erase. At the center of that story, at the cosmic center of the Gnostic vision, is her. In the Gnostic cosmology, the highest principle is not a father god. It is a unity, a fullness. They called it the pleroma, and from that fullness emanate beings of light. Pairs, masculine and feminine, equal. One of those feminine beings is named Sophia, which is simply the Greek word for wisdom. Not feminine wisdom, not intuition, wisdom itself. And in the Gnostic story, something happened to Sophia. She, depending on which text you read, either acted alone or desired to know without permission. And as a result, she fell. Or rather, she was cast out of the fullness, into the lower realms, into matter, into form, into the world we now inhabit. Now, stop. Listen to that. A divine feminine principle who acted from her own knowing. without consulting the masculine half of the architecture, and was cast down for it. Tell me, that is not the same story. The Gnostics said pieces of her, sparks, they called them, divine sparks, are embedded in matter, embedded in human bodies, embedded in you. But here is where it turns again, because in the Gnostic story, the fall of Sophia was not a punishment. It was a mission. Sophia descended on purpose to plant the sparks, so that the beings born inside the sealed world, you, would carry inside them the memory of the source. Now apply that to Lilith. What if she was not banished as a punishment? What if she was banished as a deployment? What if your great-grandmother's silenced voice, your grandmother's repressed gift, and your own buried fierceness are not casualties? They are positions. They are deployed sparks. She was not cast out for being evil. She was cast out for being unowned. And what was once a curse, in this exact moment of human history, is becoming a calling. Something in you remembered, and what stayed is her. So now I want to ask you to do something. Put one hand over your sternum, right where the breastbone meets the soft place above the stomach. And I want you to ask the part of yourself that has been listening to me, her, one question. The question is, what are you tired of pretending? Whatever rises, do not edit it. Whatever the first answer was, that is her. And in the next 12 minutes, I am going to show you exactly que fazer com essa resposta. Not metaphorically, practically. Because what comes next, if you let it land, you will not be the same person. Whatever you are tired of pretending, she has been waiting your whole life for you to stop. If you did what I asked you to do at the end of the last block, then there is a sentence that has been waiting at the bottom of your chest for a very long time. And it just surfaced. You may have softened it already. You may have edited it on its way up. You may have told yourself it was unfair to the person it named. You may have called it ungrateful, dramatic, exaggerated. But you heard it, and whatever it said, that is the whole answer. So let me give you the surface of why she was banished and why she is returning. On the surface, she was banished because the structure that became civilization needed a story that justified the ownership of women. And she is returning because that structure is collapsing, economically, culturally, energetically, at a rate that has no precedent in recorded history. You can see this with your eyes. The old shape is dying. So her return at this exact moment is, in the most ordinary sense, timing. The container that suppressed her is losing structural integrity, and what was buried inside the container is rising. That is the surface answer. It is true. It is also not the answer that changes you. The deeper answer is this. She was not banished from the world. She was banished from you. Somewhere in your life, and for most of you it was before you were 6 years old, you learned that some part of you was not welcome in the room. Maybe it was your loudness. Maybe it was your knowing. Maybe it was your refusal to perform happiness when something felt wrong. And the people you depended on for survival, gently or not gently, sent that part somewhere else. That part did not die. She went into the basement of you. She has been there ever since. And every relationship you have ever entered, every choice you have ever made, every silence you have ever kept, she has been watching. She has been keeping count. Every time you abandoned her, she abandoned a piece of your aliveness in return. Not as punishment, as accounting. Because the law that governs the inner cosmos is older than the law that governs the outer one. And the law is simple. What you exile from yourself exiles itself from you. This is why your life has felt at times half-lit. This is why peak moments have always carried a strange ache underneath them. This is why even your joys have arrived with a subtle voice underneath asking, "But is this all of me?" No, it was never all of you, because you were never carrying her with you. So here is what almost no teacher will tell you. The reason she is returning now, in this exact decade, in this exact body, in this exact lifetime, is that you finished. You finished the work she needed you to do without her. You spent the first half of your life proving you could survive without her. You proved it. You learned to navigate the systems she would have refused to navigate. You built the language she would have refused to learn. You carried weight she would have refused to carry. And you did it. You earned the part of you that the systems require. But that part was always meant to be the staff, not the master. You are not at the beginning of a journey. You are at the moment of integration. The conscious, careful, capable self you built, that one was real. That one was necessary. But she was always meant to step aside eventually and let the part of you who remembers take the seat that was always hers. So here is the line. You were never meant to heal her. You were meant to crown her. Lilith is the woman who refused to bow. And she lives in the part of you that has never agreed to be small. Not because she is your wound, because she is your sovereign. The part of your inner cosmos that was always meant to govern. The part you were trained to apologize for, who is now ready to govern anyway, with you, or without your permission. You did not come here to be a manageable person. You did not come here to be liked by everyone, to avoid disappointment, to keep the family system intact. You came here to be ungovernable by the parts of the world that were never going to honor you. You came here to be loyal to the part of yourself that has been waiting in the basement for 30, 40, 50 years. And tonight, you open the door. Now I am going to show you what to do tomorrow morning, and the morning after, because crowning her is not a moment, it is a practice. And without the practice, she goes back to the basement by sunset. If you have stayed with me until this minute, I want you to hear something before I give you the practice. What you just felt is rare. The fact that you stayed through 50 minutes of something that named things you have spent decades not naming, that is not common. That is her. That is the part of you that has been waiting for the right voice to find her. And tonight she said yes to mine. If this channel has spoken to a part of you that nothing else does, subscribe and walk this path with me. Not because I am asking, because she is. And let the next remembrance find you. Now, back to the work that matters. Because what comes next is the part most people skip. And it is the part that actually changes you. First, tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you say good morning to anyone, you will say one sentence out loud, in an empty room, in your own voice. The sentence is this: today, I will not bow to anything that is not mine. You do not have to mean it the first time. You only have to say it, because she lives in the body, and the body learns through repetition. Within 10 days, your body will start refusing things your mind has not yet decided to refuse. That is her coming online. Second, you are going to make a list tonight before you sleep, on a piece of paper, not on a screen. Paper. You are going to write the names of every person to whom you owe a sentence you have never said. Not the sentence, just the names. You will not send anything. The list is for her, not for them. Because the moment you write the names, you are admitting to yourself that the silence was a choice. And once silence stops being unconscious, it stops having power over you. Without effort. Because you stopped feeding the suppression. Third, once a day for the next 30 days, you will pause whatever you are doing. Place your hand on the part of your body where you have always carried her, the throat, or the chest, or the womb, and you will ask one question. What did I agree to today that I did not actually want to agree to? You will not journal the answer. You will not analyze it. You will only listen. Because your body has been keeping the ledger your mind refused to keep. And once you start asking, the ledger opens. Fourth, in the next 7 days, one time, only one time, you will refuse something small that you would normally have said yes to. An invitation, a favor, a meeting. And you will refuse it without an explanation. You will not apologize. You will not invent a reason. You will simply say no, once. And then you will sit with what rises in you afterward. Because what rises is 40 generations of women who never got to say no without justifying it. The discomfort you feel is the inheritance leaving the body. Fifth, and this one is the most powerful, so I'm giving it to you last. Every night before you sleep, you will ask one question in your own mind, addressed directly to her. The question is, what part of myself did I betray today? You will not answer right away. You will simply ask, and then sleep. And in the morning, she will give you the answer. In a memory that surfaces, in a sentence that arrives in the shower, in a sudden clarity. That is her governing. That is the inner cosmos reorganizing around its sovereign. These 5 practices together are not self-improvement. They are a coronation. Done daily for the next moon cycle, you will not recognize the version of yourself that arrives at the other side, but she will, because that version was always who you were. It has been an hour. Something shifted in you in the last hour. You may not name it yet. You do not have to. The part of you that needed the naming, she was already named. Somewhere underneath, the moment you pressed play. All this hour did was bring the recognition up to where you could feel it. You did not learn anything tonight. You remembered. And there is a difference. Learning is something the mind does. Remembering is something the soul has been waiting to do. Sometimes. For a very long time. If this reached you, if any part of this hour found a place inside you that nothing else has been able to find, there are 5 souls in your life right now who are walking the same threshold. Send this to them, not because I am asking, because they are, and they will not say it out loud, but they have been waiting, the way you were waiting, for someone to put words to what they have already been feeling. The right ones will know, the way you knew. And before you go, tell me below, Which moment in the last hour did you feel in your chest? Which sentence stopped you? Made you put the phone down for a second? Made you forget you were watching a video? And which question do you want me to take next? Because I read every soul who shows up, and the ones who comment teach me what to write next. You are part of this canon now. There is one more thing the chart reveals about her though. Something I did not have time to name tonight. Because Black Moon Lilith is not the only mark of the wild feminine in your chart. There is a second point, older than her, that astrologers almost never speak of. A point that, when you find it in your own birth chart, tells you exactly which lifetime you are completing in this one. And that is what I will show you next. Until the cosmos calls you back to me, stay in alignment. Stay in awe. Stay in awe.